Hello, everyone. This is Eleanor Rigby. I'm sitting here today with this small chipped ceramic mug in my hands. It's nothing special to look at, just a plain white thing with a little blue rim that is faded over the decades. But if this house were on fire, it's the first thing I'd grab. I was looking at the stain on the bottom this morning, and it hit me just how much time has passed. 50 years. It feels like a heartbeat and a lifetime all at once. If I hadn't learned the secret held within this cup, if I hadn't slowed down enough to understand what it meant, I truly believe I would have lost everything that mattered. I wouldn't be sitting here today with a heart full of memories. I'd be sitting here with a heart full of regrets. Before I tell you this story, please subscribe. I want to pass this wisdom down before I'm gone, so you don't make the same mistakes I did when I was younger and foolish. I remember 974 like it was yesterday. We were living in a cramped little apartment in Philadelphia, and the walls were so thin you could hear the neighbor's radio playing through the vents. Arthur and I had been married for 3 years, and let me tell you, the honeymoon phase hadn't just ended. It had crashed and burned. We were both working long hours, chasing a version of success that didn't even exist. I was at the bank, he was at the garage, and we were like two ships passing in the night. We'd wake up late, snap at each other because the coffee wasn't made, and rush out the door without so much as a glance. I can still hear the way the door used to slam back then. It was a sharp, angry sound that punctuated every morning. We didn't have a penny to our names, and the stress of the world was pulling us apart at the seams. I remember one Tuesday morning in November. It was freezing, and the heater was making that awful clanking sound it always did, and Arthur accidentally knocked my purse off the counter. I screamed at him. I really let him have it. It wasn't about the purse, of course. It was about the fact that I felt invisible. He looked at me with eyes that were so tired, so defeated, and he didn't even fight back. He just picked up his keys and walked out. I sat down on the kitchen floor and cried. I thought to myself, this is it. This is how it ends. We're just going to keep drifting until there's nothing left to hold on to. But then something happened. A few weeks later, my grandmother, who had been married for 60 years before Grandpa passed, came to visit. She saw us in that kitchen, saw the way we avoided eye contact, the way we moved around each other like strangers in a grocery store aisle. She didn't lecture me. She just sat me down, took my hands in hers. Her skin felt like soft parchment, and she said, Eleanor, a marriage isn't built in the big moments. It's built in the first 20 minutes of the day. If you lose the morning, you lose the man. I didn't understand it then. I thought she was being old-fashioned. But the next day I decided to try something. I woke up 15 minutes earlier. Just 15 minutes. I made a pot of coffee, and instead of rushing, I poured 2 mugs. When Arthur came into the kitchen, looking for his keys and bracing for a fight, I just handed him his cup. I didn't say anything about the bills or the chores. I just said, sit with me for a minute, Artie. He looked confused, but we sat there in the dark, the only light coming from the little lamp over the stove, and we just breathed. We didn't talk about work. We didn't talk about the car that needed a new muffler. We just talked about the birds we heard outside or a dream he'd had. It felt strange at first. It felt forced. But we did it again the next day, and the day after that. Young people today might not understand this, but back then we didn't have cell phones to distract us. We only had each other. And that 15-minute routine became our sanctuary. In all my 80 years, I've learned that the world is a hungry thing. It wants to eat your time, your energy, and your peace. If you don't carve out a space that belongs only to the two of you, the world will take it all. By the time the 80s rolled around, we had 2 children and a mortgage. Life got louder, there were toys all over the floor, and the mornings were chaotic. But Arthur and I had a pact. No matter how much the baby cried or how much work was waiting for us, we had our coffee, even if it was just 5 minutes standing at the counter while the kids ate their cereal. We looked each other in the eye. We checked in. How is your heart today? He would ask me not what's for dinner, but how is your heart? I promise you, those minutes were the glue. There was a year, I think it was 1987, when Arthur lost his job at the plant. It was the hardest year of our lives. We were scared, and the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. I remember waking up with a heavy chest, wondering how we were going to make the mortgage payment, but then I'd hear the clink of the spoons in the kitchen. I'd walk in, and there he'd be, with my favorite chipped mug, waiting. We would sit there, and for those few minutes, we weren't a man without a job and a woman without a plan. We were just Arthur and Eleanor. We were a team. Let me tell you the truth. Love isn't a feeling you have. It's a decision you make every single morning. It's choosing to be kind when you're tired. It's choosing to listen when you'd rather complain. Experience has taught me that the grand gestures, the expensive vacations, the diamond rings, the big anniversary parties, they aren't what keep you together when the storms come. What keeps you together is the habit of belonging to one another. When we got married in 1971, the minister said something about 2 becoming 1. I used to think that meant losing yourself, but I realized over the years that it really means creating a third space, a space that belongs to the marriage. Our morning routine was that space. It was where we forgave each other for the arguments of the night before. It was where we built the strength to face whatever the day was going to throw at us. You have to understand, modern life is designed to keep you busy. You have these devices in your pockets that tell you what everyone else in the world is doing, but they make you forget what the person sitting across from you is feeling. I see young couples in restaurants now, both looking at their screens, and it breaks my heart. They are missing the quiet magic of presence. They are missing the chance to really see one another. I remember when Arthur got sick, this was much later, of course. His hands would shake a little and he couldn't hold the heavy kettle anymore. So I became the one to make the coffee. I'd bring it to him in bed, and we'd sit there propped up on pillows. The routine didn't change. Even when the circumstances did, we'd talk about the kids, we'd talk about the garden, or sometimes we wouldn't talk at all. We'd just hold hands. I can still feel the calluses on his palms. Those were the hands that had built our life. And in the quiet of the morning, I could thank them. He's been gone for 5 years now, and every morning I still wake up and make a pot of coffee. I still pour it into this old chipped mug, and for a few minutes I sit in the silence and I feel him there. I realize now that those 50 years of mornings weren't just about coffee. They were about showing up. They were about saying, you are more important to me than my to-do list. You are more important to me than my stress. If I could go back and talk to that young, angry Eleanor in 1974, I'd tell her to put down the purse. I'd tell her to stop shouting and just start brewing. I'd tell her that the man standing in her kitchen is a gift, not a burden. You see, marriage is a long, long road. It has its mountains and its valleys, and sometimes the fog is so thick you can't see the path. But if you have a ritual, a simple sacred routine that brings you back to center every day, you won't get lost. Patience isn't just about waiting. It's about how you behave while you're waiting. Sacrifice isn't about giving up your soul. is about giving up your ego. Think about that. Think about the first 20 minutes of your day. Who are you giving them to? Are you giving them to the news, to your boss, to a screen? Or are you giving them to the person you promised to love until your last breath? My late husband used to say that a good marriage is just two people who refuse to give up on each other at the same time, and he was right. But you don't keep from giving up by sheer willpower alone. You do it by nurturing the connection in the small, quiet moments. You do it by making the morning a place of peace instead of a place of war. I want you to take a look at your own life. It doesn't have to be coffee. It could be a walk or a prayer or just sitting on the porch together before the world wakes up. But find that thing. Protect it. Don't let the business of life steal it from you. Loyalty isn't just staying married. It's staying present. It's staying interested. It's staying kind. In all my years, I've never seen a marriage fail because they didn't have enough money, or because they had too many kids, or because life was too hard. Marriages fail because people stop being friends. They stop being partners. They stop having their morning. So, as you go about your day, I hope you remember this old woman and her chipped mug. I hope you find the beauty in the simple things. I hope you choose love tomorrow morning and the morning after that, and every morning for the next 50 years. It's the only way to live a life with no regrets. It's the only way to build a story worth telling. Thanks for listening to An Old Soul. Subscribe, share this with someone you love, and cherish them while they are here. You never know which morning will be your last one together, so make sure every single one of them counts. Goodbye for now, and may your heart always find its way home.